Okay, so we're playing the. This is my Boomstick succession game, which is a Civ4 succession game being played through the CivFanatics forum. Brief overview of the game is we're playing on Monarch level and low sea levels. It's a sort of a fairly straightforward setup, you would think, except we've had some rather oppressive variant rules about beelining rifling and then beelining nationalism, and the use of our great people has been constrained, and we're just about to embrace, well, we just have technically, the nationhood civic and go on a drafting spree. What you're looking at, I guess, is one turn in. We've basically swapped civics and gotten ourselves into nationhood, and just completed a bunch of builds. Generally I kept the builds the way they were. I noticed that York was missing a barracks, and so I made that adjustment and a few other bits and pieces, but more or less kept things the same. This AP Apostolic Palace vote came up, and we decided no, that we want to keep Mehmed, as I understand it's pronounced, Mehmed warring with Hatshepsut, which is something that we initiated and gave these guys something to do and to slow down the tech rate to a certain extent, particularly our northern neighbours. Now, I have played this turnset through to 1685. I picked it up at 1640, so I played, I think, 7 or 8 turns in all, and I'm just I recorded the whole turnset only to find that the audio wasn't working as I intended it to. So if someone wants to sit there and watch silent Civ4 play for an hour and a half, they're more than welcome to. I'll keep those videos up for a month or so, and then I might get rid of them because we'll and truly have moved on from that point. But where we are, we actually had quite a big stack sitting just south of Osaka, and that city was, I mean, it's got a pretty respectable defence there, and we were just basically knocking down the cultural defences, but we had relatively little. This was our main stack, and we had 5 siege units, 3 of which were catapults, and I just was not confident that I could tackle that stack with that stack. So noticing that Kyoto is marginally less well defended, I figured that we could send troops over to south of Kyoto, and we did have quite a few units still residing in Tokyo, and I upgraded a lot of those muskets that we had there, and I think we had a couple of City Raider units as well, and so they got a bit of an upgrade, and they're making their way to join up with our main stack to tackle Kyoto, which is just check reasonably. I mean, some of these, you know, Taj Mahal's no use to us anymore. You know, they're pretty respectable wonders otherwise, so University of Sankor would be good. Osaka actually has Sistine and Notre Dame, which, or Notre Dame, as the Americans would tell us, which also would be pretty handy to get our hands on. We're starting to suffer, and it's not really kicking off yet, but in a few turns we're going to have really serious unhappiness problems caused through drafting and war weariness and emancipation unhappiness. So a +2 happiness from Notre Dame would be super welcome right now. In the meantime, we're well aware that we are going to be warring with Mehmed's fairly soon, and I'm just starting to, and you can barely see it now, but I'm just starting to push a few units towards Liverpool. And if we could take this little southeastern area, the cities are really average in their own right, but it just seals off this border here, where we can start really pushing into the juicy stuff. Constantinople is probably the great prize, not only being the capital, but also the unshrined home of Hinduism. And once we get the Hindu shrine there, then we'll be away financially. I'll probably mention it later on as well, but this Nicomedia or Nicomedia would make a terrific great person farm. There is some, when I say terrific, it's not the best thing you've ever seen, but it's not as though we'll be knocking over any cottages to make way, and it's got 2 food resources already set up, lots of grassland, and I think if we're looking at placing the national epic somewhere, that could be a real candidate. The other spot that I noticed could be a goodie was indeed our potential city, Kyoto. Will eventually end up taking this city, but although that's only plains cows, it still does have pigs and grasslands cows, and there's a couple of farmable tiles around the place, so that could be a contender as well. But yeah, I do like this Byzantine city over here, potentially. Yeah, so otherwise, as I said, we've just started to undertake the drafting of units. I'm not sure if even, yeah, so it's only just begun, and you can see that hell no, we won't go unhappiness, but this city pretty much sums it up. It's got draft unhappiness, it's got war weariness, and it's got emancipation unhappiness, and this just gets a bit deeper and deeper as this turn set continues. Anyway, look, I just thought I'd demonstrate that you can see that we've got these 2 stacks moving over there. I was going to head off to Satsuma as well afterwards, and then finally we'd revisit Osaka depending on how things went. But that was for later on. I'm not quite sure what else I can glean out of this other than to show what we were up to. Lots of trebuchet building in the meantime, particularly in light of the fact that we'd be drafting redcoats. I suppose the other thing is that all along here, because we do have a hugely long border with the Byzantines, Byzantine Empire, that we eventually do end up just putting garrisons of 2 to 4 redcoats in each of these cities. As it happens, by 1685 we're at war with them, and they haven't really made any moves towards attacking us out of any particular part, but I was really wary of them coming down this route here, in particular towards Nottingham. So we'll see how things pan out, but you can see that they've got cataphracts already, and they are potentially, not sure if we're at that stage yet. Yeah, all 3 of them are only 1 tick away from grenadiers, which would make our redcoats quite vulnerable. And both Hattie and Roosevelt can look at cavalry as well. Not so much of a problem for us, given our huge reliance on redcoats, but which eat cavalry. But nonetheless, you just don't want to see them in enemy hands if you can avoid them. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'll just kick over to our, move on a few turns and have a look at the 1670 save. And we're well and truly, by the time this save loads, we get to see a bit more of a mega stack sitting outside Kyoto, and we start sending units off towards Satsuma. A few more units are going to be visible around to the southeast, and our war with Roosevelt has generated a great general, so we're going to be looking at putting together a super medic. This is taking, oh thank goodness, I was about to hit the pause button. Look, I'm pretty sure, I'll just go through these. I'm pretty sure I put trebs in just about every build that there was, from recollection. Right, okay, so we've taken Kyoto. That was a pretty decent battle, and as I said, we did end up yielding a great general. There's our stack joined up, plus the got some muskets and a red coat sitting in Kyoto, and I just thought I'd stick a pike in there. It's formation pike, just in case some horseback units appeared out of nowhere. Also, Roosevelt kept dropping odd sorts of units around this bunch of hills and tiles there, so picked up 4 muskets and knocked out a longbow that was sitting on that hill. I just to sort of, I'd rather see longbows out in the open than moving back to Osaka, so I thought I'd take that one out. And likewise, Satsuma, there are a few units that were sitting there that just decided to come out, so our knights and so forth took care of them. This city, in this turn, we actually have a stack of mostly knights, but a couple of redcoats covering for them. And what ended up happening was that, I can't remember which one, but I ended up picking up a, it wasn't that one, but a knight that was at about 50% odds of survival, and he took out the first longbow, and, oh no, he took out the third longbow, and these two guys here, who are upgrades from Nagoya, just sort of wandered around and was able to pick off this city flawlessly. So I thought that we were going to end up having to knock down defences and take our time about it, but we just basically hit the city with its 60% cultural defences, and were able to succeed without loss, which was fantastic. Yeah, the basic idea is that our mega stack, which is here, ends up heading back towards Osaka, and we do have a couple of odd units here and there that sort of go over to join them here. I think this musket stack also moves over there, and then wherever those knights are, they end up joining the throng there as well. So that was the general plan. So we basically went 1 Kyoto, 2 Satsuma, and 3 Osaka. Now down, oh probably, yeah, sorry, we just forgot to note that we did end up, with the Kyoto battle, we did end up using the Great Spy to bring down the defences in one turn, so we used espionage to do that rather than siege, and that has absorbed quite a few of our espionage points. Now, yeah, so you can see that we're back to 300 against Roosevelt, which is not a lot to do anything with, and as a result I wasn't quite sure what to do with the spy, whether to push him into he's sitting over there, but eventually I think I moved him up to Tokyo and kept him there, where he can be found at the end of my turn set. I'm sure there's probably a better use for him, but I just wasn't quite sure what to do with him. Okay, yeah. So as I said, a bunch of trebs moving over to Liverpool, and eventually we'll attack Mehmed, and we'll have units there. And this is the obvious direction to attack him from, I would have thought. And the other thing is, yeah, I've got that great general, and I decided to get a knight coming out of Hastings because we had the barracks and the stable, but I figured that we still had the heroic epic sitting around in our queue, or our build list as a potential, and I thought, oh, the time is well and truly right to pick up that national wonder. But just flipping through these cities around, you're hard pressed to find one that isn't suffering from unhappiness. I've drafted here twice, and I think I continue to draft another unit out of Warwick. Again, more war weariness and emancipation unhappiness. So really taking its toll. There's sort of 5 unhappy citizens there, and only 3 working tiles. And we're running at 0% or 100% gold on the commerce, and still bleeding money. I think in the medium to longer term we're fine, and you can see from the power chart that this is the price that you pay sometimes. If you want a big jump in the power chart, you've got to take a hit to your economy, and that's probably testament there. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what more I can say other than to briefly explain the nature of that northern battle up here, and sort of demonstrate that, yeah, look, things are pretty grim in terms of city management at home. But we'll check out the final save and just make a few comments there. Now, I've in my closing post in the CivFanatics forum, I've sort of covered many of these points as well, but just a good opportunity to go over them again. As noted, the Byzantines took Kagoshima, I think in Whoop-de-Doo's turn set from recollection, and they've got a massive stack of Renaissance era units that just have not moved out of that city, and I think if we can get to cannons in time, we could really quite comfortably make a mess of them. But at this stage, until we get to cannons, all we can do is pretty well hope that they continue not to move. So where is it? Up here, and you can see that there's just there's nothing there in terms of unit quality, but absolute massive quantity of units that I don't want to be attacking them on the hill, but I'm certainly hoping that they come out of there and make themselves available for getting smashed. As I mentioned before, we've just got that spy, our one and only spy, is sort of sitting there in Tokyo. I was at a loss to know what to do with him, but he's certainly got 2 movement points, and whether the roster wanted to push him into here just as some sort of a reconnaissance move wouldn't be a bad idea. I'd like to see what we're confronting again in some of these cities. The units that we drafted, lots and lots. They've even these ones are all built, but even the drafted units have got a promotion on them, and I just wasn't sure whether to commit to City Garrison 2 or whether we'd be better off with something like pinch or combat promotions, or even drill. So I've left them the way they are, but I would advise that if we do see a stack coming over the hill from the northeast, that we do promote these units before they end up facing any fire. In terms of city, I've turned on the city governor pretty well exclusively throughout the kingdom. In a couple of cases, in this particular case, it's probably well worth noting that London is due up for the next great person. It is still missing an academy, which is having a huge impact on our science rate. And if we can, it's almost 1/3 chance of another great engineer, which usually is great when you see great engineers. But in this case, we're just so desperate for an academy that that's by far and away my next preference. And a great spy, look, we've found them pretty useful in the past, and we're still behind in terms of technology. It's probably worth noting actually that wherever we are, I think it's Kyoto from recollection. Yeah, that we've actually got quite a nice science centre, espionage centre set up here. It's pulling in a lot of raw, potentially raw espionage points, and it's also got a Scotland Yard as well. So well worth at least sort of noting that that's available to us if we got to communism and we built that city improvement and so forth. We can run some spies and do that sort of stuff. So that's an option for us. I don't know whether the days of espionage have passed us by and whether it's just getting together our army and blasting the rest of these guys off the map is the name of the game. Yeah, now as I said, I generally have focused on providing tile distribution to the city governor, but by and large have had to force the specialist because it kept picking spy specialists all over the place. Worth noting that with the effect of Sistine Chapel, that our specialists are also getting a little bit of culture as well, which is a nice bit of icing in most cases. But for the border cities that we're new cities that facing Japanese borders that can run specialists other than artists if we wanted to, and still get a little bit of culture happening there. Yeah, once again, just looking at the potential tanks, grenadiers, no one's actually in a position to build them, but yeah, Hattie's already got military tradition. Oh no, she hasn't. Yes, she does, but Hattie's got military tradition already, so she can build cavalry. And she's also got steel, so cannons are a potential there. Look, I think by the time we get to her, we're just going to have such overwhelming numbers that she won't be able to do anything to stop us. But at least we're aware that they're out and about, and she could potentially trade it to Roosevelt. And who knows? But as long as it doesn't get in his hands, I think we'll be fine in that regard. Yeah, and as I said, we've still got the national epic, and we've got a couple of cities that could be candidates, but it's been unfortunate that despite everything, we still haven't got any access to marble. So no build bonus there. Anyway, as I said, I've got a sort of a small stack of units here that I think are more than capable, I would have thought, to deal with these rather poorly defended cities down here, and they're not really useful, but at least they'll be ours eventually. The silver here would be actually quite handy. We've got forges in most cities, and we can get a +2 bonus from having access to silver. So even though this Norwich doesn't look too hot as a city site, that just getting access to that would be a step in the right direction. But yeah, gosh, there's some real junk cities. I suppose, yeah, no, I suppose it's got sheep, so it's not too bad. Yeah, the research towards steel is obviously all coming from specialists, and as I said, I'm running all those scientists in London with a view to. I've got 5 of them at the moment, with a view to popping that academy, and once that academy's out, then we can start pushing them back onto these unworked cottage tiles, I'd suggest. Yeah, so there we go. Happy to hand it over to the next in line, and yeah, I think, you know, we're doing pretty well. I just think that once we deal with the Byzantines, which at the moment, you know, we're on parity in terms of the, well, slightly above them now in terms of the power chart. If we can, I reckon, if we can blow away that stack here with cannons, I think that'll just make the power chart look, the disparity on the power chart look even greater. Picking up these cities around here, these, you know, they're okay, and yeah, we can start hemming him in and getting ahead. There's some suggestion about Notre Dame not working, but it definitely is. I've just sort of gone through the cities, and we're getting +2 from some buildings, making us happy. And then in this particular case in Nagasaki, we're also getting +1 happiness from the Colosseum and the Confucian temples. So yeah, we're getting effectively Notre Dame's or Notre Dame's happiness bonus as well. I'm just trying to find a better example to prove the point. Yeah, so we got you know, again, +3. It's repeated. Some buildings are making us happy at the top of that, and then and second from the bottom, the same message to give us a +3 total. Yeah, alright, so as I said, all the best to the rest of the roster for the next few turn sets.